I now call on Skip to propose a toast to the bridesmaids.
Okay, Hi everyone. Actually, I must admit, well, to those of you who don't know me, my name is Anton Scheepers, but affectionately known to most of you, I presume, as Skip, mainly through my working relationship with Anton at TechWedding over the last 5 or 6 years. Very close working relationship which we shared. But before I get into that, I'd just like to share a few messages which have come from abroad. Unfortunately, some people have come from afar, but fortunately there were those as well who couldn't make it all the way here. Firstly, there's a telegram here for Anton and Kareen. Congratulations, wishing you happiness together like Delia and John. There's another one from the phone calls which came in from Brian Lily's brother Daryl and family in New Zealand, and also Lily's in what's in America. Is that right? Yeah. And the other phone calls came through from Uncle Robert and Auntie Pepsi in Johannesburg, Auntie Catherine in Pretoria, Alan Ald from Johannesburg from the SABC, Anton's grandparents Ruth and Claude, unfortunately they couldn't make it, and Anton's aunt Auntie Chloe. And also I think a very special mention must be made of Anton's gran, Mrs. Herrington, who unfortunately passed away last year. I'm sure she must be here with us today in spirit, and I'm pretty sure Anton and the whole Herrington family can feel her presence here today. Carrying on to the other side of things, as I said, my relationship with Anton has prevailed over the last few years, sort of in a professional sense, but that also developed into a very close friendship through obviously working and on the social side, and our gathering of friends which we have accumulated over the last few years. And also, weddings are nothing new to Anton and I, since we have done plenty of weddings before. In this case, we're sitting in front of the lens and not behind the viewfinder. I think we've seen many interesting situations of weddings and so on. And earlier this year, I received this phone call one morning, and Anton was up in Johannesburg, and he said, well, why don't you come out for lunch? Which I duly accepted. I wouldn't pass by an opportunity like that quite really. Anyhow, so we were sitting at the table, and he said, a very important question to ask you. So you must just know what I thought he meant me to ask. But anyhow, I was very relieved, and I must say very honored when you asked me to be his best man. So, well, here I am. But just talking about the best man story, I just wondered how many of you know where this term best man in fact comes from. It goes back to the Scottish era, where the men of those days actually kidnapped their intended. And of course, the best man was the groom's strongest or closest ally. We were supposed to help him do the better deed, but I think times have changed somewhat. I think someone also mentioned to me today, in fact, that the other day, that if something becomes a then I have to look after his bride forever after. Debated, but I would be quite honoured even so. Right, talking about Anton the man. Well, there's lots of you said there were certain, Owen's really made certain comments there which I'd just like to back up. But I shared some stories with Neville this morning, and there's some quite interesting ones. And starting off, being the industry that we're in television, Anton made a very, very early start. I think he was about 3 years old at the time. And Neville was reading the news for Radio Port and Tell, or whatever, I think it was called at the time, Neville. And Neville took Anton in for the early morning news session there, and he actually made the slight mistake of taking him into the booth. And when they started, when the news was announced, it started with the type of signal tone, type of thing. And of course, Neville proceeded to read the news, and Anton must have seen the little red light come on, and of course, this intrigued him no end. Of course, during the news reading, Anton started mimicking the signal tone which was played. I think Neville was caught in a little bit of a sticky situation there that he had to take care of. And then he had to cue off and to tell Anton to keep quiet, and as soon as he started reading again, Anton would start his antics. Anyway, so the last little bit, Neville had to actually put his hand over Anton's mouth to keep him quiet while he carried on reading the last little bit, and in a very, very hurried manner. And apparently the fools came in afterwards wondering what the rush was. I think that's just one indication of Anton's humor. He's always displayed I'd say almost a wicked sense of humor sometimes. A sly smile, a cunning ability to lure someone into a situation, and of course, the laughs would prevail from then on. Completely, yeah. And of course, Anton has also been someone who has always taken readily to a challenge. And once he's accepted that challenge, he's always stuck with it and seen it right through to the end. And of course, made a success of it. And here's a perfect example, as we can see. Anyway. But also once when Anton was, I think was about 9 years old, he was in the supermarket one morning and they made an announcement actually challenging shoppers to have a go at one of these computer chess games. And I think Anton took readily, accepted the challenge, and in fact he beat the computer, much to the amazement of everyone else. I think all these things that has taken him forth in his competitive spirit through to high school, where he actually I think became a captain of Natal School's chess championships. That type of Natal School's chess captain, yeah. And that type of competitive spirit has prevailed even till now. He's a keen sportsman, even on the league tennis, and he likes playing couch rugby. I mean, he likes to watch the rugby from the couch. Anyway, but I think one of his grandfather's favourite stories of Anton is that when they were still little guys, Anton and Brendan, who is here tonight, and three of his other cousins to watch soccer at the old Caledonians club in Pretoria. But Anton and Brendan didn't watch much soccer. Apparently they were rummaging around in the dustbins, eating second-hand chips and things. I don't know if he remembers that. But I must say his taste for cuisine has much improved since then. And he knows good wine, I tell you. But for me, in our personal relationship, Anton has been a wonderful and loyal friend, and I couldn't wish for anyone better as a friend, because it's a loyalty which has prevailed, even though I don't work with him anymore. But as I say, I still regard myself almost part of the Herrington family because of that close association and love that I've experienced within that family. So as I say, I must feel quite honoured that Anton asked me to be his best man here today. But anyhow, there's one other little formality now. Being in the new South Africa, weddings, the traditions, weddings have changed. They come and go, and they change as society demands. But now that we're living in the new South Africa, look, we've done the conventions of the church, mind you, but there are certain things which you have to adapt to the new South Africa thing. And I don't know, and I think that background or informed sources have revealed to me that there's one small formality, in fact, that Anton has overlooked. And that is the age-old tradition, African tradition of playing the bola. Now, I don't believe he's done that. But as you know, also, we've got a few problems there, logistically speaking. But to bring a cow in here, I'm sure Mount Edgecombe Country Club wouldn't allow that for one. It would be a bit messy. But then again, also the advent of mad cow's disease, I think would also be rather insulting if Anton presented Mr. Lilly with a couple of cattle or a cow that is diseased. I mean, you wouldn't be able to use the milk, you wouldn't be able to eat it. So, in fact, what we've done here, and also this wedding and the expense of setting up a new home for Kareen and everything like that, I'm sure Anton also now going on honeymoon, he can't have much money left. So what we've done, we're just sitting for in there, but we're going to make it. This presentation we're going to make is at least just a token or symbolism of Lobola perhaps. And we couldn't find any golden calves or anything. Those were melted down millions of years ago. So what we're going to do, just like Anton and Mr. Lilly, I can come up to you, we're going to make a presentation of 2 chickens. That's the goose. So I'd like you to stand up. But in conclusion, the bridal table isn't complete without at least toasting the 2 beautiful bridesmaids sitting down on the far end of the table. Look really beautiful this evening and befitting with the whole character and look really stunning. I'd just like you all to raise your glasses and you'll propose a toast to the bridesmaids.
Right.
We'll look at my glasses here. The bridesmaids.